couple of weeks ago, we brought back the sport of Taekwondo here to Off the Podium. A great chat with Stacey Heimer. And to end the year out this year, we are going right back to Taekwondo with an athlete who has had an incredible 2023. Right at the very right time, if you ask me, heading into an Olympic year. For the first time in 10 years, an Australian won a medal at the World Taekwondo Championships, and this man did it. He got a bronze at the World Championships in Azerbaijan earlier this year. Not only was it the first medal for an Australian athlete at the Taekwondo World Championships in 10 years for a male athlete in nearly 25 years, creating a big drought broken and really giving him a boost ahead of Paris next year. And outside of that, we are talking to a multiple Oceanic Championships medalist, top 10 in the world, Pacific Games medalist, national champion, you name it. This guy's got it on his resume, and I'm so excited to learn a little bit more about him and his career. Pleasure to welcome Off the Podium, Leon Sejranovic. Leon, welcome Off the Podium.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on here because it's a very exciting time for Taekwondo in Australia, and I can imagine a very exciting time for you. Let's just start off with 2023 for you. I mean, did you January 1st, 2023, think that we'd be talking at the end of the year going like, wow, World Championship bronze medalist, top 10 in the world, all the achievements you've had this year? I mean, it's been a pretty epic year for you.
Yeah, it's definitely been a fantastic year. I've always said like last year, this year as well, I've always said I know I'm capable of being at that level of, being top 3 in the world, coming top 3 in the World Championships and winning these big medals that I've won this year. However, knowing that I'm capable of doing that and then actually doing it's very different. So I've always known I'm capable of that, but I guess just I don't know, January 1st, this year, I knew I kind of went into the World Championships knowing almost having that feeling of knowing that I'm gonna secure a medal, but again very realistic in the fact that everyone's so good overseas. All these guys are weapons, and it's just if I don't perform well, if I'm not focused on the day, all that all the hard work and all that self-confidence doesn't mean anything. It just all depends on your focus on the day and stuff. And I guess I've been able to put those performances together several times this year, and it's gone my way.
I love hearing that mentality and kind of that confidence, because I can imagine in a sport like Taekwondo where it's very it's very physical, you're fighting, you kind of need that confidence in combat sports, don't you, when you go up against an opponent?
Yeah, 100%. Definitely need that confidence. If you watch other combat sports, you see boxing and stuff, everyone's supremely confident. For me, it's a balance of both. I'm very confident in my abilities, but I'm also going into every fight, I'm not thinking I'm going to win. I'm definitely going to win. It's just that mentality of if I fight how I know I can fight, then I know I'm capable of beating anyone. But in the same sense, if I'm not focused, if I'm not fighting well, I'm capable of losing to anyone. So
you started at 3, if I'm not mistaken, in Taekwondo. What drew you into such a young age? I mean, 3 years old, getting allowed to kick people, that must be fun.
It was pretty fun. But so I was starting when I was 3. I was at the YMCA with my dad and my sister, and you could kind of just see through the window in one of the rooms a Taekwondo class going on. And we just thought they thought I was really young, but they were just you know what, let's try to get him involved in something like a martial art or a sport or something coordinated as a kid, I guess. I just never looked back.
Your family had much experience in it? Were any of your parents, brothers, sisters, were they involved in any martial arts at all?
Not previously, not prior to when I started, but then when I started, this is kind of funny, but when I started, I used to always look out the door or where my dad's sitting, just kind of just do something and look, try to get my dad's approval, I guess, or whatever. But so look at him, see if I'm doing well, keep going. And then I'd always get told off for doing it. And eventually my dad's you know what, if I'm going to get this stuff happening, I'll just join the class and it'll make life easier. So He joined the class, he got a black belt.
Wow.
And then kind of just stopped. He kind of just did it because to keep me company during the class and stuff because I was really young. And then just kept going until he got his black belt and then I guess stopped.
Wow. Well, that's all right. Go and get your black belt. I did what I needed to do. There you go. Did you ever get to, take him on?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes.
Did you win?
I was young, so maybe not, I don't know.
Might have gone a little bit easier on you just because, they was young. Were you much sporty in other pursuits? I mean, being a Melbourne boy, AFL, or sort of other sports, or was it kind of taekwondo and nothing else?
No, so like when I was in primary school, played footy. Played footy for a bit. Stopped just basically because I wanted to like, focus on taekwondo. Like it was getting to a point where um, I'd picked up like more sessions in taekwondo, and then I had to kind of just prioritize and say like, what do I actually want to, focus on? Because I knew I wanted to make it in sport. I didn't want to just do it. So then I was just like, I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket. Where am I going to make it? I felt like I had a lot of potential in taekwondo and just like focus on that. And then also around like year 6, year 7, like played volleyball for a bit. And then it was always taekwondo though. It was always like that was always the focus, and I deep down always knew like that's where I wanted to thrive.
I got to ask the big question then, just on the footy side of things.
Yeah,
AFL team. Who's your team?
North Melbourne now because
okay. That's I react that way because to me it's not a team I often hear people say. I grew up in the 90s when everybody was a North Melbourne supporter, right? Whereas nowadays I very rarely meet a North Melbourne supporter. So I like that. You guys are on the up, right? Like that's kind of what the MO is with Clarkson and all of that.
Yeah, I haven't been like a huge footy fan. I used to watch a fair bit, and then I stopped because just like we always train on Friday nights and go to big games on Friday night, and I kind of just like stopped watching it. But yeah, I was a Saints boy, and then had two mates that got drafted to North, so I just thought I don't care that much about footy. So some people are going to get offended by that, but I don't care that much about footy to like root against my mates. So I was just like I support them.
I can respect that if you're not sort of like a diehard Saint supporter and it's just like, no, screw this, we're never going to win and then do that. But I totally get it. As a Carlton fan, it's just like ride the bumps and then eventually you get through it, hopefully. So see how that goes. But that progression then, so ultimately kind of going up through the ranks, I believe sort of as you were going through that, you end up getting a scholarship essentially where you end up being coached by 2008 Olympian Ryan Carnelli, which obviously I can imagine was a big boost for you at such a young age. I was 13, I think, at the time when you first came along with Leon.
Yeah, just going straight into high school.
And what was that like then, as sort of at such a young age to have Ryan be able to sort of assist you? How much did that help you at that age to kind of go towards where you are now?
Well, he was a massive help. Like I definitely wouldn't be anywhere like in terms of like where I am now without him. But so pretty much I used to do so there's like two federations or different rule sets in Taekwondo. There's ITF Taekwondo and then there's World Taekwondo. And World Taekwondo is the Olympic style, but I used to do ITF.
Right.
Up until I got into Maribyrnong's Sports Academy, which is where I got the scholarship with Ryan. So before then I was just doing ITF. When I got into Sports Academy, Ryan as I was training with Ryan, he just said to me like, if you ever want to come to the club, get extra training in, whatever, you're welcome to come. And the training we were doing at the Sports Academy was the Olympic style World Taekwondo. And I kind of just fell in love with it. Like I enjoyed it a lot, and I fell in love with the Olympic dream as well. Because obviously there's no if you become like a world champion in ITF, there's nothing after that. But here there's like Olympics, there's more publicity, more everything. So made the switch and trained with Ryan. And I guess like Ryan's, like I said before, Ryan's been a massive help. Like he's like extremely smart coach, very good at adapting to the person who's coaching. So we'll know how to treat every athlete and get the best out of them. And he's definitely been able to do that with me throughout the years. I'll
touch on the Olympic dream that you mentioned just there, but can you briefly explain the key differences between the ITF and then say the Olympic style of Taekwondo?
Yeah, so the point system's different. So you don't get extra points for spin kicks in ITF. You can punch to the face in ITF.
Wow.
But then it's not full contact, so you can't just throw a haymaker and drop someone. It's more point fighting based. Whereas in the Olympic style taekwondo, you can kick, punch, do anything as hard as you want. If you knock someone out, it's not frowned upon at all. It's not frowned upon at all. It's encouraged, I guess, if you can do that. So it's the main differences, I guess.
And is that then, so when you're at the World Championships, is that still ITF, or is that Olympic style?
I know that's Olympic. So now I'm solely competing in the Olympics.
Right.
Yeah.
And so just on that then, so with athletes who maybe say stick to the ITF form, is that just because maybe they're better style at that? Because I can imagine, you're used to something that maybe I don't know how that transition works, but if an athlete is to stick to the ITF, is it just a case of maybe the Olympics don't really mean that much to them, or they prefer sort of that discipline over what would get them to the Olympics?
Yeah, it's just I guess it's just dependent on the person. Like some people might not have an Olympic dream; they just want to like compete, or they want to like. ITF is very, very traditional. Like it's very traditional and very much so about like getting your belts and stuff like that. Not that World Taekwondo isn't, but World Taekwondo has like also a big like sport base. And then a lot of people go down that avenue of really focusing on the sport aspect of it. Whereas with ITF, it's more so traditional. So there's some people that like will prefer to focus on the traditional side of Taekwondo, and that will mean that they don't have a reason to move to World Taekwondo.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, the fighting style will just suit them better, like because there's differences in the fighting style. Like as soon as you can punch to the face, it changes a lot.
Fascinating. I wasn't aware that was a thing in Taekwondo. Yeah, I mean, you touched on the Olympic dream. So did you have that sort of before that transition, or was that sort of with the help of Ryan, as you were saying, when you made that transition, you're hanging out with a guy who's gone to those Olympics, and then all of a sudden that maybe clicked a light bulb in your head that this is a possibility?
Always had an Olympic dream, but I knew I wasn't in the Olympic style Taekwondo, and I also didn't know how to make that transition. There was no like smooth way for me to do it, and I guess it just really organically happened through the sports academy and through Ryan.
And were you, like when the Olympics were on, were you watching them? Sort of, was this something that sort of prior to that like every 4 years you'd be glued to that TV, and maybe it was Taekwondo that you were paying a bit more closer attention than some of the other sports?
Once I got into sports academy and started training more with World Taekwondo, I watched back like Olympic Games fights and stuff like that. I watched one that I've watched a lot is like Daniel Trenton fighting. I've watched it on YouTube like a million times probably, especially when I was younger. But yeah, and then from the age of, I'm guessing, I don't know exactly, but maybe like 15, 16, when I really started getting super serious about it and like seeing where I could actually end up, I just been like, watching fights a lot, like at big like Grand Prix, World Championships, Olympic Games, just like studying fights, studying people that I might one day be fighting. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Daniel, because I mean, to age me a little bit, Leon, I vividly remember Sydney. I was 13, and obviously absolutely hooked with it. And everyone obviously remembers Lauren's gold, and fantastic. But I think sometimes people, probably outside the Taekwondo community, forget that we did win another medal in Taekwondo at those Olympics. And I remember when Daniel won that silver, because I think that was at that point of the Olympics where Australia was on such a high. We were winning all these gold medals. It was great. So when he made that gold medal bout, we're all like, oh, here's another gold, easy. And then obviously ultimately got the silver. But it was still amazing, because that was, of course, the first Olympics that Taekwondo was at, and it was just so good. So I'm glad that, that's an inspiration for you, because I feel us non-Taekwondo community people who talk about the legacy of this sport in the Olympics need to talk a bit more about Daniel alongside Lauren's achievements, of course, at those Sydney Olympics.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've watched both, and like I look up to both of them so much. Yeah, for me, it was just like the fight style was just very entertaining to watch with Daniel, and that's like another thing that got me hooked.
You had a chance to sort of talk to both of them and sort of get some feedback or advice or anything like that from them?
Yeah, I've met both of them. I haven't really spoken in terms of feedback and advice too much, but I've definitely gotten to know, spoken to both of them. They're both like lovely. Daniel actually came in a few weeks ago or a month ago. I'm not sure exactly, but came in to watch a session, spoke to the team a bit. So that was really good and kind of got everyone in high spirits. But yeah.
Because is it a bit of a case of like, they walk into the room and everybody's like, oh, there they are, like, kind of these two historic athletes in Australian Taekwondo. Because obviously we talked a lot when we had Carmen back on a couple of years ago, and then obviously with Stacey around sort of, what's happened in the sport between now and Sydney. But it's more of a case of, I can imagine, as you say, like, they're an inspiration to so many people because they have achieved the highest possible form of medal in Taekwondo.
Yeah. I don't it's hard to say, I don't really I don't want to sound arrogant or anything. I don't really get starstruck anymore. Like I kind of just I'll acknowledge and I'll have tons of respect for both of them. But when I meet them, it's kind of just I'm just happy to talk to them, be in the same room as them. It's a pleasure. But yeah, it's not like I'm awestruck by it or anything.
That's just them. They're part of us. We're all the same now. No, totally get it. That progression though that you sort of made at such a young age. I mean, you're winning multiple national championships, gold medals at Oceanic championships, and you're still basically a kid. You know, 16 years of age. At that point, you know, was there any possibility looking towards it? We're obviously going to touch on sort of around the Tokyo period, but were you kind of thinking of that with that progression, sort of that was a possibility, and kind of what was that mentality when you're achieving those sort of things at such a young age?
Yeah, I've always been like very ambitious, like probably more ambitious than like anyone. Like that even like if I'm being like super realistic and honest with myself, it's almost like I'm more ambitious than what I can actually achieve. Even though I genuinely believe I can achieve those things, but it's more like if trying to figure out how to put it into words, but like I'll always dream really big, and I'd rather like dream really big and come up short than undersell myself and like, you know, not aspire to do something like great. But I definitely had that in my mind, like qualifying for Tokyo, but also it was like a very big mountain to climb. Like I was very young. There were other people that were ranked much higher than me and performing overseas really well. So yeah, no. So I that year, so Olympics was meant to be in 2020, and the selection criteria was based on tournaments in 2019. And in 2019, there was just like everyone, not everyone, but like the people in my divisions outperformed me, and they were older and stuff, and like, you know, they had great years, and congrats to them. But that was definitely like a dream. It was a very ambitious dream, but yeah, I thought like, you know what, why not give it a crack? And obviously didn't work out, but now hopefully I can qualify for next year.
Well, going into 2020 though, winning a bronze at the Dutch Open, I'm sure that obviously ticks off quite well on the resume. But then obviously with COVID and everything that kind of happened and the setbacks for Australian athletes as well. So had that been a normal year in terms of an Olympics gone ahead in 2020, were sort of winning bronze medals at events like that helping, or as you're saying, it was mainly about the 2019 results, so therefore that wouldn't have really kind of helped that case had the Olympics gone ahead as planned that year?
It wouldn't have helped my case because the selection was based off performances in 2019, so
right.
That wouldn't have helped my case. But yeah, like it was like once I kind of knew I'm not going to the Olympics, it was fine, just put it behind me and then look ahead and try to keep performing, and I guess like, you know, performed well at the Dutch Open.
Which, going sort of back to what we're talking about with sort of, you know, looking at these athletes and kind of, you know, the way you kind of approach them, when you're then watching Tokyo and these are athletes, they're your teammates, you know, on the national squad, what's that like then? Is it a different perspective to watch these people that you're training with, working with and that a little bit and cheering them on from the other side of the world versus the previous Olympics where maybe that was more of a pipe dream going, wouldn't this be amazing one day?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, you know, like the other ones, you kind of feel like a fan. You're just like watching and you want them to do well. Whereas when they're part of your team, like it feels like it's not taking any credit, but like if they do well, you feel like you were involved in it. Like you feel like, you know, you helped prepare them, and it's like you're more invested in it. So like definitely watching like the people on the Australian team last Olympics, like, you know, really wanted them to do really well. Felt like I'd, but you know, tried as much as possible to help them train and prepare for the Olympics. And yeah, it's a different feeling for sure.
And given how we can watch the Olympics now, obviously during those Olympics, Channel 7, you can log on to 7 Plus and you've got every single sport. You can just like literally sit there and have the Taekwondo channel on 24/7 if you want. Is that basically, have you got all your computers set up, but basically on the big screen, you've got just the Taekwondo on all the time? So it's not just the Aussies, you're watching all the other events and just hooked to it for that period.
When the Taekwondo's on, I'm only watching Taekwondo, but when it's not Taekwondo, I'll watch other events here and there. But I'm definitely like when the Taekwondo's on, I'm watching Taekwondo. I've not got any other screens up.
Which, I mean, it must be, again, unique from that perspective that you can do that and just kind of just constantly keep an eye on it as well. Because I think from a perspective, I'm sure you're mentally taking in and watching, particularly in your division, right? You're watching these people who you are fighting against and I guess learning and maybe helping that towards strategy when you have to face these guys at your next tournament.
Yeah, exactly right. Like a lot of the people that, at least some of the people that I watched at that Olympics are people that like I've fought now. So like one of the bronze medalists from Tokyo is someone that I fought last year in Saudi Arabia at the Grand Prix final. And I just like remember watching them at the Olympics. I've watched them at other events as well, but you know, someone like I've watched at the Olympics, thought about like, how do I want to fight this person? And then, you know, a few years later, finding them.
There they are. Yeah, that's crazy. 2022 though, you get to go to your first World Championships. That's what we're going to touch a little bit more on this year's World Championships. But you make the round of 16 in your first ever World Championships. You lose to the guy who eventually wins the gold medal and becomes world champion. I always love that if you are getting eliminated, like go out to the guy who's going to win, right? Like that's kind of what you want because, you know, that kind of, at the end of the day might feel a little bit better after that. But what was that experience like and to get to the round of 16 in your very first World Championships?
Yeah, I was disappointed. Like I wanted to perform better. My first two fights, I felt all right, felt good. Mentally going into the tournament, I felt good and everything, but I felt like the moment got to me a bit because it was my first World Championships, and usually I like to think I perform really well under high pressure situations. But yeah, that World Championships, I think it all got to me a fair bit. And that fight in the round of 16 that I lost to against Spain, the eventual gold medalist, yeah, I just didn't fight my best at all. Made a lot of mistakes, just was kind of just lost during the fight. But yeah, I guess it was a really good experience. Like I'm glad that happened to me because I learned so many lessons from that. And I like after that tournament, and I completely changed my mindset going into the next year. Stuff like so going into that tournament, I was just very like, you know, I want a medal, I want to perform, I want to win a gold medal or at least a medal. Um, and after that performance and how I performed, I kind of realized that I need to dumb it down a bit or like simple it down a bit and approach it one fight at a time and one round at a time. Because like with our fights, it's a round system where if you lose the first round 10-0, but then win the next round 1-0, and then the round after 1-0, you win the fight. So just really approaching it like 2-minute rounds at a time. If you win or you lose, doesn't matter, put that round behind you, reset, and then just really simpling it down. And then that kind of made me be able to perform better. So, and yeah, it's just helped me throughout this whole year.
Kind of like tennis. If you drop the first set,
Exactly.
you've still got a few more to get back into it. What you mentioned sort of about that first experience. I mean, was it like pressure, like sort of once you got to the World Championships and you realized the scope of it? What do you think it was that kind of once you were there that it had affected you in a way that you weren't expecting?
Pressure, I think I built it up in my head a lot. Like my expectations of myself at that event, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Like it's a good thing if you can like kind of embrace it and like use it to fuel you in the correct way. But I let it eat me up a bit. Like when stuff wasn't going my way during the fights, when I started losing, I like panicked a bit and didn't fight smart. Whereas my approach was very different into this World Championships. I had the same ambitions this World Championships, but just like I stayed patient. Maybe like my decision making was better because I was able to just stay calm in the moment and like stay present.
And is that something that in that period between 2022 and 2023 World Champs, are you not only obviously working on that with your coach on the physical side of things, but do you work with the sports psych and kind of on that mentality side of things to try and overcome that?
To be honest, I don't really see a sports psych. It's something I've thought about, but I feel like I've been doing really well with my mindset. It would definitely help, but I feel like at the point I'm in, I'm very comfortable with how I approach every tournament. I really don't get pretty nervous going into any tournaments anymore. And I'm very like, I feel very calm going into fights. So, but it's definitely something I spoke about with my coaches because, you know, they have so much experience of fighting, but both my coaches, they're like, were elite as athletes and had big results overseas. So I know like I can trust them. So like any advice they give me about how I should approach the tournament or how I should feel going into it, I really take it on board and I find that it helps me a lot.
With all that in mind, then going into the 2023 champs this year, is there also a level of, as an Australian, and this is only your second World Championships, there's maybe not as many eyes on you as, say, some of these other athletes who are expected to do well? And does that kind of help you in a way to kind of be a bit of an underdog that no one's really watching me, so I'm going to show the world what I can do and maybe you should be watching me instead?
I think that maybe like broader Australia didn't expect me to like do so well, but I feel like the people that know me or the people that train with me knew like that I was capable of doing that as well. And obviously there's other people on the team that were very capable of achieving that result as well, and it just happened to happened to be me this time. But as far as the underdog thing, to be honest, it was more that didn't really cross my mind. To be honest, it was more just I was very, very dialed in going into this World Championships, just focusing on myself, my performance, stuff that I can control. Um, like really simple stuff down and didn't think about any external stuff at all, to be honest. Which I think helped me a lot.
How quick is the tournament? Because obviously you got all these different rounds in a day, right? So like between say your first match, like how long do you have between you win that first one and then you're into the second one? Like what's that process, that turnover?
So it's usually like two fight. Like after every two fights, there'll be like a lunch break or like a break, and there's like 1 or 2 hours before fights recommence. So so I'd say like after your first fight, you've got maybe like an hour to 2 hours maybe before your second fight. Then there'll be a break, but then the next two fights, the gap between them will be not that long. Then there'll be a big break going into semis. If you win your semis, then you get you get a longer break going into finals because throughout the tournament there's like 6 courts, but then
Mm.
when it's semis and finals, they all get condensed onto one court, which makes the day go a bit slower at that point. Um, yeah.
Which, how do you, is it like an adrenaline, obviously you're training yourself in a way knowing that there's that quick turnaround. It's like, okay, one, next one, next one, next one, next one. And I can imagine that once they sort of, the gaps get a bit bigger, is that worse or is that still you're preparing for that? You kind of know what that's to come.
The gap's always good because, if you're tired, like if you've had a hard like fight, you want to be able to rest and recover your body and just refocus and game plan for your next fight. And like, because you don't know, like by the time you're in your fourth fight, you don't know who, like you can't even plan for who's going to be in that semi-final or that quarterfinal because anyone can beat anyone. But yeah, so I feel I prefer the longer break, but again, like with the shorter break, well, with the longer break, sometimes you get a bit of an adrenaline dump. Whereas with the shorter break, I know like between at this tournament now, the World Championships, my gap between my round of 16 and my quarterfinal wasn't that long, but I feel like that almost worked in my favor because I didn't have this big adrenaline dump because like I'd just been world number one, reigning world champ, like went nuts after, and then it almost like I almost didn't have that time period to like be like, oh shit, that just happened, and then like crash before my next fight, which worked in my favor, I guess. But
Well, I've got to ask about that because we talk about 2022 round of 16. You go out to the eventual world champion. Now, Daniel Casada from Spain. 2023, you come up in the round of 16 against Daniel Casada from Spain. So the guy who knocked you out the previous year went on to win the world championship. You're up against him again. What's that thought process when you realize, all right, let's do this again? Take two.
To be honest, I felt really confident going into it. One, because I knew how I needed to fight against him. I knew how I needed to fight against him because I know exactly what mistakes I made, and like so much of my time after that World Championships was devoted to like improving fighting people of that style and like not allowing what happened to me at that World Championships to happen to me again. So I felt very confident going into it, knowing like I felt very comfortable knowing that I'm fighting someone I've fought before. And I know how to approach it. And also, like, I'd fought him another time prior to that World Championships where we had a very close fight at the Belgium Open. So I knew I was capable with fighting well against him, and I knew again how I needed to approach that fight. So I felt really confident, and also I guess had a bit of a chip on my shoulder, not in a bad way, but more as just like incentive and motivation of just thinking like this guy got me last time, I have to get him back. And I guess it worked out.
Well, what's that feeling like in a match like that though? When you obviously you take the first round, then he comes out and wins at 7-0. But as you're saying, like it's a sport where you can get done 7-0 and then still come in and do that. You pip him by 2 in the last round to go through to the quarters. But I mean, do you remember sort of that changeover between the second and third round and sort of knowing what needed to be done then to ultimately take that third round?
Yeah, for sure. I was just again like that day. It was just my day, and I was super dialed in. And I just, as soon as that round happened, like even just walking back to the stool, like to sit and listen to Ryan, I was already thinking to myself like, it doesn't matter. Like it's just like if you told me before the fight, it's just 1-1 going into the last round, winner takes all. I'd be like I'd be content with that and know that like it's like there to fight for, and it's in my control now, and I can win the fight with 2 minutes of like good fighting. And again, like when sat down with Ryan, and he was just really good at getting me to calm down and just saying to me like, doesn't matter, 7-0, 2-0, 10-0, like it doesn't make a difference. Just focus on the next round. We're doing good things, and just obviously gave me some tactical advice and came out blazing and did well in the last round.
Was that the most satisfying of all the round wins? I mean, obviously the next round you win, you're guaranteed a medal, which I'm sure is fantastic. But I mean, to be able to sort of get revenge on the previous year's world champ, knock out the reigning world championship, I mean, I can't imagine that's not a bit satisfying.
It was definitely very satisfying, but I don't think it compares to securing the medal. I think that moment when I realized I just medaled at a world champs, just went crazy. Like it was the best feeling I've ever had. But yeah, definitely incredible feeling. Probably second best feeling I've ever had after a fight.
I'm always just so fascinated in sports where, like, if you win a quarterfinal, like you because you're guaranteed a medal. It's similar to say like a boxing at the Olympics, where if you make the semis, you lose, there's no third place bout. You're guaranteed a medal. Which, I mean, is that elation that you're saying that you've secured a medal? But again, the job's not done. You haven't gone there to lose a semi-final and win a bronze. You've gone there to win the gold. So I can imagine, is it a mix of emotions once you've recovered from that elation of, I've got the medal, but again, job's not done. I want it to be a better color than bronze.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a mix of emotions. Like I definitely let myself enjoy it for a bit. Like you have so much hard work that I put in and had that medal in sight. And yeah, I guess I had to let myself enjoy it for a bit. So I can, embrace like with my teammates, my friends, like everyone just, gave more a hug, like reflected on it a bit. And there's that break now because like between the quarters and the semis, there's like a 2.5 2 hour break. So I let myself enjoy it for a bit. And, after a while, I kind of just walked away from everyone and just sat by myself and just kind of just like pep talking myself and just saying to myself, like you said, job's not done and have to focus. And, there's no point in coming this far to just throw it away in the semi-final because like if I lose because I've lost the better man and stuff, that's perfectly fine, which was the case. But if I had been content with that medal and then gone into the semis and not tried and given up and stuff like that, then that like I wouldn't be able to live with myself. So kind of just, sat down and made sure that I was in the right state of mind to try and, approach the rest of the tournament and fight for a gold medal and hopefully win a gold medal. And unfortunately that wasn't the case, but yeah, I definitely had that where I had to kind of just recenter or just gather myself and like, focus on the next goal.
Because it's in that opposite of that mixed emotions bag, whereas before you're kind of like, boom, yes, I've won a medal, but okay, focus for the next fight. Then the next time around, it's like, damn, I've lost it. I'm not going to win a gold. But then it probably comes back up like, well, actually, I've just won a medal. So like at the end of the day, I've still achieved a pretty big moment for myself.
Yeah, exactly. Like after the semis again, like I was really upset for like maybe 45 minutes and everyone's coming up to me saying like, why are you upset? You've medaled, like, be happy, like, it's okay. But initially, like, it was always going to burn me, like, not winning that fight. But already by that night, like, I was just, like, it started slowly sinking. It hadn't sunk in yet, but it started slowly, like, sinking. Like, holy shit, I just, won a world champs medal. And definitely, like, I was thinking more about that than I was about losing the semi.
Which, are you aware going into that about the drought for Australia at World Championships, or is that when somebody taps you on the shoulder and go, hey, it's been 10 years since Carmen won a gold, and it's obviously been, 18 years, or my maths are correct there, since Daniel won a medal back in Madrid. So, like, kind of, are you aware of that, or is that when somebody tells you afterwards?
I wasn't aware exactly how long the drought was, but I knew there was a drought. Like, I knew we hadn't won a World Championships in a long time. Won a World Championships medal, sorry, in a long time. But I didn't know the exact years. So I found that out later. Like, people started saying, like, Leon, you just won like the first medal in 10 years. Oh, cool.
Great reaction. Cool. All right.
Yeah, like, it's a good start, but also probably like it would be better if we just I'm not happy that we didn't win a medal in ages because I got to make history. Like, but yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's just it's a cool thing to be able to say, but it's not something I knew going into it.
I think that might be the most Australian answer ever to getting told a statistic, right? Like, yeah, cool, right? Yeah, whatever. It works well. And sort of, does more of that moment hit you when you're on the podium and the medal gets put around the neck and you're holding it? I mean, there's a great photo of you on your Instagram where you sort of got the medal around the neck and a great post sort of saying about what that meant to you. But like, does that make it a little bit more like, okay, it's here. This is the medal.
Those little moments, they mean so much. Like, even just like looking back on it or thinking back on it, just like remembering little moments that happened during the day, and like it's just beautiful to look back on. And that's one of those moments, like being on the podium alongside the other three best people in the world next to me. Like, it's a really good feeling, and it's probably like something I'll cherish forever. Like, I won't ever forget it. So
Good moment to do it, though, of course, a year out from the Olympics. Is there another World Championships before Paris next year, or is this the last World Championships before Paris?
for Paris.
Wow. So that, I mean, I guess, does it help you in terms of something like pressure? Like, or does this sort of give you more confidence? Like kind of how do you look at sort of winning a medal at a World Championship before an Olympic Games?
It gives me confidence going into any tournament I'm qualified for or enter now. So like going into any tournament, like even after that, like we had the Korean Open where I did well. I went into that tournament with like the confidence of a world championship medalist, which again, I've always been confident, but it's different. Like knowing that other people know you're a world championship medalist, it gives you like a bit of a boost where you know like the other person knows they're in for a tough fight, and you know you can kind of capitalize on that and assert like your dominance early in a fight and put the pressure on someone, and you know like they're going to feel that, and they're also going to know in the back of their mind that you're a good fighter, you've medaled at world championships, and that's something you can definitely like use to your advantage. I feel.
You say you do well at the Korean Open. I mean, you win a gold medal, so I mean that's pretty well. I mean that I believe is also quite prestigious, though, right? To win the Korean Open.
Yeah, it's I don't know I don't know exactly how long it's been, but I'm pretty sure that there hasn't been an Australian that's won gold at the Korean Open in a long time. The last person I know of that did it was my coach Ryan Kanawi. I don't know if there was someone else after that. There could be, but yeah, it's not common.
I know you're a big advocate for sort of promoting the sport of Taekwondo and getting more Aussies aware of it out there. I mean, how important is it for Australia to come home with a medal at a World Championships to help with that promotion? Have you seen sort of something come from that so far, or is it still a work in progress that we need to kind of take your achievements and everybody else who's achieving great things in Taekwondo, of course, to help grow the sport more in Australia?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's directly done something yet. I've been told by a lot of people, like a lot of coaches that I respect a lot within Australia, that like my achievements like a big deal for Australian Taekwondo and like for the youth, which like I know it is. I don't know exactly what it's done as to date, but yeah, I definitely felt as soon as like I'd achieved that and I got all the I felt the love and support back from back home in Australia from other people that perhaps I haven't even spoken to before in the Taekwondo community. But yeah, I had in my mind like as soon as I had finished that, like I kind of thought to myself like, you know, I really hope that this can motivate like younger fighters from Australia that have like a lot of untapped potential, or that maybe even like have potential and they're not sure if it's worth continuing because of how much publicity the sport has and stuff like that. I definitely like it's definitely a thought that I've had that I hope that it really motivates people to keep going, keep pushing and like pursuing their dreams within the sport. And yeah, I guess I've felt the support in a lot of other ways. So like I held a fundraiser like a few weeks ago where we had a lot of kids from Victoria come and support myself and one of my teammates, Bailey. So yeah, I definitely feel the love from like the younger generation, and I just hope that like that result that I've had can boost their morale. But again, I think the big thing will be securing a medal at the Olympics. If someone from our team can do that, that's World Championships is huge, and like a lot of people would argue World Championships is a harder event to medal at than the Olympics, but the Olympics has that prestige where, yeah, if you can medal at the Olympics, the whole country's eyes are on you and you boost the sport much more.
An example of that I would say would be something like boxing recently with Harry Garside, because it'd been so long since we'd won a boxing medal, since the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, it's not that nobody paid attention to boxing during Olympics, but for him to win that medal and to kind of see that level of, I guess, attention he's received in the last, 2 years, it's grown the sport and a lot more people are aware of boxing. So I think that, obviously, as you say, eyes come to a sport where it's not that Australians aren't aware that Taekwondo exists at the Olympics and we've had success in the past. It's just been so long that we kind of need a bit of a boost to get it back out there, don't we?
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah.
Which is also, when we're in that transitional period for a lot of these sports as well, and we've talked to a lot of athletes from some of these sports where we're 9 years out from a home Olympics, of course, in Brisbane. So by you having this medal and talking to those athletes that you're saying that might inspire them, they're kind of in that period where if they do well enough and they've got the talent, that they could be walking out in that mat in Brisbane at a home Olympics. Next to you, of course, Leon, because, I mean, you're still very young. I think you'd barely be 31. No, you'd only be 30 that year. You're still going to be very, very young by then.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be like I'm going, but like I'm going still at the Olympics. It just depends on like what shape I'm in. If my body's up for it and I'm still performing, like why not? But yeah, for sure. Like I'm just super motivated to be honest for myself or any other of the Australian team um, to be able to qualify for the Olympics and then put in a performance at the Olympics where they can medal. Because like if we can do that, it again like it boosts the viewership of our sport and like the attention on our sport. Also, hopefully, would lead to more funding towards Taekwondo. And there's so much potential with like the youth of Taekwondo in Australia. There's so many fighters that I know of that like are like incredible and have an incredible amount of talent. And like with that support, like the monetary support to just put more focus into training and not have to work as many hours and stuff like that. I feel like myself and also these younger athletes that are coming up, if they had that going into Brisbane, like we can do big things in Taekwondo for sure.
Two questions on Paris. The first being that obviously weight divisions are spread a little bit differently at an Olympics versus a World Championships. You've obviously got a lot more categories at a World Championships, and there's only the 4 at the Olympics. So given your category, the lightweight, so I believe that's up to 74 kilograms for the World Championships, but then for the Olympics, you've got 68 kilos for featherweight, 80 kilos for welterweight. So do you drop weight to go to featherweight, or do you gain weight to go to welterweight?
I gained weight. So I immediately after the World Championships, I said to myself, I'm fighting 80 for the rest of the year because I want to develop into the body of an under 80 fighter because that's a transition in itself. And then, yeah, so since then, like every tournament I've done has been under 80. So Korean Open, all the Grand Prix, everything I've done after the World Championships has been minus 80. And I'll continue to do so leading into hopefully the Olympics if I qualify.
And on the qualification, beautiful segue, what is the process between now and Paris to get that spot for the Olympics?
So there's a selection committee and they will decide who to select based off results throughout this year and also start of next year. So start of next year, we have the US Open and Canada Open. So those tournaments, as well as a collective of the tournaments from this year, they will sit down, look at who's performed and pick a team based on that. And then once we're selected, we have to go to Oceania selection. So
right.
I'm hypothetically picked, I will go and fight. So we can only choose two male divisions out of 4 and female divisions out of 4. And whatever 2 divisions we choose to select, or Australia chooses to select, we'll go and fight at the Oceania selections against any other people in that weight division that Oceania countries have selected. And then you have to win gold at that event.
So the quotas are already secured for Australia in a way, like as in like we can choose between 2 of the 4, or do we have to yet to secure those quotas to get that choice, if that makes sense?
So we can choose 2 males, 2 females.
Yep.
So, and then those 4 people have to go and win the Oceania selection event.
Got it. Right. Okay.
If all 4 win, then we have 4 Olympians.
Got it. Which I can imagine, though, bronze medal from the World Championships, pretty good on the resume to kind of maybe help that selection committee look at you a little bit differently, just possibly, Leon.
So, but that's not up to me. My focus is just to go into every tournament, outperform everyone. And to be honest, my outlook really isn't to outperform like other Australians. Like I've always feel like it's like us against the world or me against the world. And for me, it's just like I want to perform against these other countries and do well. If those performances turn out to qualify me for the Olympics, then fantastic. Like that's my dream. If not, doesn't matter. Like we just keep moving. So.
And on that, you mean you're keeping moving. Obviously, I mean, we're talking a little bit off air about sort of what you're up to at the moment. And obviously, we're recording this about a week or so before Christmas. But, I can imagine sort of New Year, you're talking about the US Canadian Open. I mean, sort of, it never stops, it seems like, straight onto a plane January, and they're just kind of very busy, I guess, between then and July.
Yeah, it's like end of January or early February that we have the Canada and US Open. But yeah, no break. Like it's like I can't afford to have like a break now. Even I'm just still going to train, like continuing to do gym throughout the Christmas period. I won't really have a break at all. I'm taking a small break from Taekwondo training just to get my body right. But yeah, just still going into gym every day and doing recovery, doing like all the right things, but not really taking my eye off the ball.
Well, just on the weight. Given the transition that you've sort of got to increase the weight, does that come mainly from muscle, or is it the nutritional side of things that it kind of has to come from food? Like kind of where's the balance in when you've got to actually put on weight to go to a different weight division?
Yeah, so like we have nutritionists at the Victorian Institute of Sport who I've like spoken to, and they've given me like a plan and like guide to what I should be eating and how I should be approaching it. But mainly just like getting into a calorie surplus, eating more food, and then out of that food, making sure like the correct amount of it is protein, so that I can actually develop that muscle mass. Ensuring that the right correct amount of it is carbohydrates, so that I have the energy to burn when I'm doing like cardio sessions or conditioning sessions where I need that energy. And it's just like, just have to make sure I get my diet right, eat the right amount of food, um, you know, just doing all the right things, I guess.
I can imagine that's a bit of fun though, when like, because a lot of the time it's all about losing weight, right? Whereas if all of a sudden it's like, hey, Leon, you've got to put on weight, eat more food. I can't imagine that's sometimes a bad thing.
Yeah, it's incredible. I love it. But it's great. But again, also like I want to get to the point where come Olympics, I'm like 84, 85, 86 kilos, like something like in a position where I have to be cutting weight for -80 because, doing that weight cut, obviously the weight cut isn't pleasant, but if your natural weight is higher and you're like making weight and then jumping back up in weight, it's an advantage. Like it's a big strength advantage, and it comes in handy with flying. So,
What are the food, like pasta? Is that one of the foods that kind of helps you with the weight gain? Like, is there a specific food that does help?
I'm trying to get my carbs, and I'll be having pasta, rice with my meat. I eat a lot of red meat, so I'll be eating like steak. I'll be eating a lot of chicken as well.
Does not sound bad at all.
Decide to stay healthy, and yeah.
That works. That works a treat. We'll get to some closing questions in a moment, some fun sort of get to know you style questions. But two things I want to touch on. One's a bit of fun, but one, I want to learn a little bit more about the Sports Hall of Fame scholarship, because these are great initiatives. Obviously, they're awarding a lot of these each year. But I mean, sort of what does this do for you? How does this help you out? Because I can imagine that getting a bit of a boost from a scholarship like this does help you on your journey towards the Olympics.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, that scholarship, like there's a pot of money there that I can use to directly for stuff that will improve my performance or improve my training or stuff like that. So I'll probably sit down with the coach at the start of next year and decide like how I want to use that $5,000, like where I want to like target to use that money to like improve myself leading into hopefully the Olympic Games. And then also there's like the mentorship side of it as well. So you get mentored by people from the sports.
Who's your mentor? Who do you get mentored by?
I'm not sure yet. Haven't found out yet. But hopefully, I'm not sure like whoever it is will be a great help.
It's pretty exciting though, isn't it? Because I know sort of in the past speaking to recipients of it, and some of the people get matched up on, because it's not like you're just probably going to get matched up with like Lauren Burns or, they like that. Not that that wouldn't be a bad thing, but like, you're often getting paired up with a literal legend of Australian sport in another field, which from what we've learned on the show is a great help, because they can give you a different outlook on certain things and that. So, I mean, that's probably going to be a bit exciting to see who you get paired up with.
Yeah, definitely exciting.
Anybody you want? Have you looked at the Hall of Fame and gone, oh yeah, that'll be all right?
Not really. I think I just have to respect them all very much, and like whoever I get, I'm sure they'll have very valuable advice to give me, and I'll be able to take that on board and use it to improve myself.
Great answer. Wayne Carey, I'm assuming would be there somewhere as a North Melbourne fan, just putting it out there. Maybe just saying that sort of. The other one I got to touch on, we're recently introduced a mascot to Off the Podium, Leon. He's a great new mascot. Now, I'm trying to get some opinions and also trying to use him for inspiration. So I want to introduce you to our mascot. Now, first of all, can you see what he is? Can you tell me what he is?
What is he? Fill me in here.
He's a chair.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I haven't seen that angle yet. Sorry.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I should pull him out a little bit. There you go.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So this is Chairy. Now, he's gone through a lot of adversity. He was thrown across the room in a bad case of abuse, but he's come back. As you can see, he's won a medal. Now, I'm just trying to use this as inspiration for our guests on the show heading into Paris next year. How inspiring is Chairy to help you towards success in Paris next year?
Very inspiring. I think this is going to be the reason I medal now.
Well, I'm going to hold you to that now that you say that. How about if we somehow can get another version of Chairy for you to maybe use as a good luck charm in Paris to help you get one of these with all the Paris insignia on it? How would that sound?
That would be great. I'll definitely be bringing that with me to Paris.
All right. I expect the gold medal around your neck in Paris next year when the tears are streaming down your face with Advance Australia Fair. I want you to remember this moment right now and think of Chairy.
Will do.
Okay, good. Holding you to that. Thank you, Chairy, for your appearance. He'll go and have a sleep now. Now, we close out every single interview with a set of get-to-know-you style questions. As always, these are based on Team Canada questionnaire they gave their athletes ahead of both Rio and Pyeongchang. As always, there is an optional drawing element if you want. Leon, how are your drawing skills?
Terrible.
Terrible. That's what we like to hear. So if you want to put those terrible drawing skills to use, you can send them in to me. We can put them on our social media. You can draw what you think the coolest Olympic medal would look like. Now, I'm basing this off Canadian wrestler Danielle Lepage, and she has drawn a picture of a medal that says, with this medal, one will receive a lifetime of free McDonald's. So, sounds all right. I would be down for that. Draw a picture of yourself. Nice drawing here that she's done. And always draw a picture of a Canadian animal, but of course for us it would be an Australian animal. Or if you really want to draw a Canadian animal, you're welcome to. So if you got the time, Leon, you're welcome to, all right? Just saying.
Yeah.
Good. All right. You don't have to, but it's nice if you do. We'll start off with the first question here. To you, who is the greatest Olympian of all time?
Usain Bolt.
Oh, great answer. Love it. Straight to the point. I like it. We kind of touched on this before, but I don't know if we got an actual answer of what the first one you watched. What was the first Olympics you remember watching?
First Olympics I remember watching. I don't remember any details of it, so don't quiz me on it, but I do remember watching Beijing.
Okay. All right. That's good. I was a bit scared if you went London because it just ages me very, very badly. But I can accept Beijing. You were like, what, 5, 6? So not too bad.
I was actually at London, though. I did go to London.
Oh, you did go to London. You went.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you go to Taekwondo or like what did you see?
I did go to Taekwondo on one of the days, but I was like 11 or 12. So again, don't remember a big chunk of it, but I remember being there. I don't remember certain things about it.
Is that like when you're on the ground there and sort of on that Olympic dream, like getting to sort of experience it as a fan and kind of seeing what it's like in person? Is that an inspiration?
Yeah, for sure. And like I went there like pretty much like a few years before I made the sports academy. So that was kind of what planted the first seed for the Olympic dream for me. And then
wow, yeah, great Olympics to go to as well. That's a good one to experience. I can imagine. Fantastic. If you could be any superhero, who would you be?
Oh, yeah, putting on the spotty eyes. Oh.
That's what we like. Do you need Chairy? I can get Chairy for inspiration for the answers.
Superheroes. I'd say I don't know if I'd want to be because of like the attributes that come with it, but I like Spider-Man, so I'll say Spider-Man.
Okay, I like it. But it'd be pretty good in Taekwondo. Spider-Man, agile.
Yeah, agile. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of works. Your favorite ice cream flavor is?
Oh, salted caramel.
Oh, I love it when somebody doesn't have to think and they just know it. Great answer. Yum. Are you an ice cream fan? Is that like a guilty pleasure?
Definitely.
And how much are you allowed on the diet for ice cream though?
These days, it's a bit more than before.
Good way of looking at it. Yes, just keep going up a weight division for every Olympics. You know, keep going all the way to heavyweight, basically. If you were a baseball player, what would your walk-up music be?
Oh, this is hard. What would my walkout music be? I listen to a lot of UK rap, so maybe something by Stormzy. Don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what song, but something by Stormzy maybe.
That works. Are you allowed to have walk-up music in certain events, like when you walk out to the mat?
Finals or semi-finals, you get walkout music, but you don't choose it.
Oh, really? You don't choose it? What? How does that work? Like, okay, you're listening to this song, stuff it. You get no choice.
They'll just play like they play it to the speakers as you're walking out for those fights,
right?
And then they'll just play what they play.
That's still like, I don't know how that would work in a way that like, what if they play like, I don't know, like you hate Taylor Swift and then all of a sudden they're playing Taylor, you're just like, what the fuck? This is not getting me in the right zone, right? Like, I mean, that's a bit unfair. Maybe there's like if you're up against somebody from the home country, they're going to like put you off, right?
That's pretty funny. No, I've been content with my music choices so far.
I'm good. I'm glad. All right. What's the best nickname you've ever been called?
Oh, jeez. Well, our coach now is he just always every time I walk into a room just takes the mick out of me and just calls me a world championship bronze medalist. So it's every time I walk in he'll just say it. So I guess it's a good nickname to have. Like
I think there could be worse. I like that though. Is it like on a megaphone, like, ladies and gentlemen, your world championship bronze medalist?
Nah, he just like says it subtly every time, and everyone laughs. So yeah,
Just, I think you need to just like turn it up and just wear it one time, and just be like, well, yeah, you're right. Like, remember like back in the days, like Kurt Angle, I think in wrestling when he won an Olympic gold medal, so he'd walk out into the mat with a fake Olympic gold medal, be like, yeah, I've won a medal. Do that, rub it in his face. Like, you never won one of these, exactly. I think there's revenge there, Leon. You're welcome. If there was a movie about your life, who would play you?
I have no idea for this one. This is really hard. I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't know. I have no idea. You stumped me here.
Okay. I was going to say I could use the answer here that Danielle gave, but she said Jennifer Lawrence, so don't really see a resemblance. But it's 2023. It's diversity, right? Why not cast Jennifer Lawrence playing you? We'll do that. We kind of touched on this really already, but the question, your guilty pleasure snack is it ice cream or do you have others?
It would be chocolate, but I'm trying my best to cut it out, to be honest. I'm trying to eat clean. So,
we won't tell anyone.
You're just making me think about it now. You're not helping. But
Take it back. We want that gold next year, right? No chocolate, no chocolate. What is your go-to chocolate though? Like are you dark, a milk, a white, something else?
It's most of the time I'll have just like really like, it's pretty basic, but just like Cadbury milk chocolate. But I do like caramel milk, like a Kit Kat Gold. If I'm trying to change it up, I'll go with that.
I've been keto basically all year, and I'm about to have a couple of weeks off. And I bought myself a block of caramel chocolate the other day, so that when I'm off keto, I'm having caramel because caramel pretty darn good. So I'm with you there. If you weren't an athlete, what would you be?
What would I be if I wasn't an athlete? I enjoy coaching a lot, but I guess that's come from me being an athlete. Like my field that I want to pursue after competing, like after my competing career is done, is to go into either Taekwondo coaching or S&C coaching. Yeah, I'd say one of those two things. Not exactly sure. I haven't like set my mind on anything yet, but I do just enjoy being in an interactive environment where I'm coaching people, helping people get better. It's rewarding for me as well. So I'd say that for sure.
Good answer. I like it. What is the most recent TV show that you binge watched?
That I've finished binge watching was Power.
Okay.
Currently, I'm gonna probably cop slack for this, but I've only just started watching How I Met Your Mother because a lot of people say to watch it, and it's hilarious. So
it's good, isn't it? It's good.
I'm on How I Met Your Mother at the moment, but yeah.
It's a great show. I'm glad that I love it. Like when people can discover like classic shows that maybe they hear a lot about and then they kind of go through it. So I'm intrigued to see maybe Barney can be an inspiration for the Olympics. I don't know if he can be an inspiration. Probably a bad. Scrap that. Never mind. I never said that. Your favorite place? I need to bring Chairy back for moments like this. Your favorite place in the world to compete in is?
I want to say Azerbaijan, just because like that's where I won my medal. But if we're talking about like my favorite place I've been, and there's been a competition there, I'd say probably Rome. I really enjoyed Rome this year.
Okay, nice. I mean, it's not bad when you get to travel these great places. On your Instagram, I love the photos of you in Paris, and you've kind of literally got a picture of you in front of an Eiffel Tower saying like 2024. So kind of using that as inspiration. Your favorite video game is?
My favorite video game. Probably FIFA. It's pretty basic, but
yeah, I like it. No, it's good. Your biggest fear in life is? Deep question.
I would say not achieving my goals, but not because like if I put all my effort into something and like I come up short, that's fine. But I think if I don't push myself to the extent that I know I'm capable of, and if I slack off and cheat myself and I don't achieve the things I know I'm capable of, I wouldn't be able to live with that. So
great answer. I like it. Inspirational too. The last one for you today, Leon. What is one thing you cannot live without? You can say Chairy. Say Chairy. You can't live with him. He's in gold medal next year. Come on.
Say my dad's cooking.
Good answer. All right. What's his go-to dish? Like what are his specialities?
Steak with mushroom sauce, medium rare.
good. So that basically you're saying this diet is amazing because it's just like, Dad, you have to cook me a steak, otherwise I'm not going to the Olympics.
The diet's the reason I'm where I'm at, I reckon.
Yeah. That's the only reason.
Genuinely a big part of it, I reckon. So
That is fantastic. I love hearing that. Leon, before we let you go, people want to stay up to date with your journey between now and the Olympics and beyond. Social media, where can people stay up to date with your career?
So my Instagram, Leon Sejranovic. That's like where I'm most active. I'll post a bit on Facebook as well, not that much though. And yeah, if anyone, like in terms of support wise, there's I have like my sponsors, AKU Australia. They have I'm wearing one of the tops now, but there's a red top and there's this green top and there's another red top, and they're like supporter tops for myself for my journey towards hopefully competing at the Olympic Games. And yeah, like proceeds from the top sold come to me. And like that again, they help me be able to like fund myself when I'm overseas and not being able to work part time to have money to support myself and all that stuff. So
Brilliant.
Yeah, if anyone wants to support, feel free. Don't have to, but yeah.
We'll link it on the show notes for people to check it out, and obviously with this post so people can get on board and help you out, because obviously we're going to cross all those fingers and toes and all the other things that we can do in the lead up to Paris next year, Leon. But it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you on the show and learn about your journey. Good luck with that, and I'm sure we will get you on the show end of next year with that gold medal around your neck. How does that sound?
I hope so. That's definitely the goal. And an incentive as well.
You're welcome. And remember the other incentive. Come on. He's here. He's waiting for you. Come on.
Send him over. I'll bring him to Paris.